It was one of those burning July afternoons when the air feels heavy enough to swallow you whole. The kind of heat that makes even the toughest soul slow down. On a quiet country road just outside a small town in Texas, a little girl sat in her wheelchair by the edge of her driveway, watching the world go by. Her name was Emily. She was 12 years old, with soft brown hair tied in a messy ponytail and a smile that could melt anyone's heart. That day, something happened that would change her life and her town forever. A loud rumble broke the stillness. A single Harley-Davidson motorcycle came rolling down the road, its chrome glinting in the sun. The man riding it looked like he came straight out of a movie: leather vest, tattoos, long beard, and a face that had clearly seen a few hard years. His bike sputtered and slowed to a stop right in front of Emily's house. Steam rose from the engine. The man cursed under his breath and climbed off, kicking the gravel. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kindness in Action, where we share true stories that remind us how one small act of kindness can ripple out and change the world. If you love stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to tell us what kindness means to you. Your support helps us spread more good in the world. And now, let's get back to Emily and the stranger whose life she was about to touch. The man took off his helmet and wiped sweat from his forehead. His name was Bear, and he was a member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. He'd been riding all day in the heat, headed to meet some of his brothers down south. His bike had overheated, and he was running low on water. He looked around, saw Emily sitting there, and hesitated. "Hey, kid," he said, his deep voice rough from the road. "You got any water around here?" Emily smiled shyly. "Sure, mister. Wait right there." She turned her wheelchair and wheeled herself slowly up the driveway. It took her a while, her hands trembled a bit, but she didn't stop. She disappeared into the house and came back a few minutes later, holding a bottle of cold water. She'd even wrapped it in a small towel she'd wet under the sink to keep it cool. "Here you go," she said, handing it up to him. Bear took it, surprised by her effort. "Thank you, sweetheart," he said, unscrewing the cap and taking a long drink. "You didn't have to do all that." Emily smiled again. "That's okay. My dad says when someone needs help, and you can help, you just do it." Bear chuckled. "Your dad raised you right." He nodded toward her wheelchair. "You doing okay, kid?" She shrugged. "Yeah. I was born this way. But I still got good wheels," she said, grinning. That made Bear laugh out loud. He spent a few more minutes with her while the bike cooled down. She told him about her dog, Lucky, and her dream to one day design wheelchairs for kids who couldn't afford fancy ones. Something about her spirit, her light, stuck with him. Before he left, Bear asked her name again. "Emily," she said proudly. He nodded. "Well, Emily, I'm Bear. You ever need a friend, you call the Angels," he said with a wink. Then he roared off down the road. A few days passed. Emily didn't think much more about it. But that simple act, a bottle of water on a hot day, had stirred something deep in Bear's heart. You see, Bear hadn't been treated kindly by strangers in a long, long time. People looked at his tattoos, his vest, and the big Harley, and they saw a man to fear. Not a man to help. But that little girl hadn't flinched. She'd seen a person who needed water. Nothing more of that night. When Bear met up with his biker brothers, he told them the story. About the little disabled girl who had gone out of her way to help him when nobody else would. The men listened quietly, these tough, road-worn bikers who'd seen it all. By the end of the story, every one of them had misty eyes. "A man," one of them said, "we gotta do something for that girl." Bear nodded. "Yeah. We will." The following Saturday morning, Emily's mom was in the kitchen when she heard a deep, distant rumble. It wasn't just one bike this time. It sounded like thunder rolling down the road. She went outside, shielding her eyes from the sun, and froze. A line of motorcycles stretched down the road as far as she could see. Red, black, chrome gleaming in the sunlight. There must have been over 250 bikers, all pulling into the dusty field across from their house. Emily wheeled herself out onto the porch, eyes wide. "Mom, what's happening?" Then she saw him, Bear, walking up the driveway, holding a big bouquet of wildflowers. Behind him, bikers carried boxes, toys, tools, and even what looked like parts of a brand new wheelchair. Bear knelt beside Emily. "Hey, kid," he said softly. "Told you we'd be friends, didn't I?" Emily smiled so big her cheeks hurt. You came back. He nodded. All of us did. The Hells Angels had organized a full community day for Emily. They built her a custom wheelchair, painted cherry red with silver flames, and set up a little ramp in front of her house so she could roll down to the road safely. They brought gifts, food, and donations for local families who had children with disabilities. Neighbors came out, at first nervous, but soon they realized these men, these so-called rough bikers, were laughing, grilling burgers, and handing out ice cream to the kids. Bear and Emily sat together for hours that day, talking and laughing. He told her that she reminded him of his daughter, who'd passed away years ago. Emily squeezed his hand and said softly, "Then maybe I can be your daughter for today." There wasn't a dry eye around. As the sun began to set, the bikers started up their engines one by one. Before they left, Bear placed something in Emily's hand, a small silver pin shaped like angel wings. "That's your badge," he said. "You're one of us now. An honorary angel." Emily hugged him tight. "Thank you for coming." Bear smiled through tears. "No, Emily. Thank you for reminding us what real kindness looks like." The roar of 250 motorcycles filled the evening air as they rode off, leaving a cloud of dust and a town forever changed. That day, Emily didn't just give water to a thirsty man. She gave hope to an entire group of people who thought the world had forgotten about them. And Bear? He never stopped telling her story.